gods of Olympus have abandoned me. Now there is no hope.
And Kratos cast himself from the highest mountain in all of Greece. After 10 years of suffering, 10 years of endless nightmares, it would finally come to an end. Death would be his escape from madness.
And with that scene, we all started our journey 20 years ago of a franchise that is the definition of epic. Welcome anyone to my YouTube channel. This is Everett, aka 2Beast to Kill You, aka the Beast with the Least. And today I start my retrospective of the God of War series. I know, late, but better late than never. Still, I wanted to start this because this is a franchise I have played and loved pretty much since the beginning. I don't think I really need to introduce what God of War is, but just in case, it is a character action series originally set in Greece during the time of the Olympian gods. Oh, it should also be known for
Consumed, or how many would?
Why would Athena send one such as you?
Yeah. As I said earlier, I've been a fan of the series since the beginning, with that original game, which released March 22nd, 2005. I got it a little bit later after it had released, a little later that year. It was about a year after high school ended for me, but I was able to get a PlayStation 2 used. Didn't have a lot of money back then, don't have a lot of money now, but at that point, yeah. One of the games, though, I bought was the original God of War, along with Metal Gear Solid 3 and SmackDown vs. Raw. Pretty good games, actually. But needless to say, I, just like so many others, fell in love with what that game was doing when it came to story and the over-the-top nature of the combat. I mean, not a lot of games can make violence, even though it's, as I said, over the top, make it look cool. I don't know. You know, don't really know how to say it other than that. But after that first game, I was just hooked, and could not wait to keep going after that. Especially once they announced sequels, or should I say, I was chained. If you're a God of War fan, you know exactly what I'm talking about. But anyway, let's go ahead and get right into the video. Now, I'm not an editor. I don't really write scripts for the videos I do. I just go off the top of my head and I try and put together something that hopefully whoever watches will enjoy at least a little bit. Even if you don't enjoy it. As long as you watch it, give me some fair criticism. Hopefully I improve it later on. But how I'll structure this video and any subsequent videos that I do for these types, the retrospectives or whatever you want to call it, I will go ahead and talk about the story, a quick overview and what my thoughts on the story were. Then go ahead after that, talk about the environment / artwork of the video game. I mean, especially if I'm doing a retrospective of an older video game, maybe don't want to talk about like the graphics or whatever. A lot of them are not gonna, they don't look like today's games. After that, I will talk about gameplay. So, and obviously my thoughts on that. So let's go ahead and start with the story. The game opens with Kratos standing over a ledge lamenting his life. All the choices that led up to it obviously weighed heavily on him. He then flings himself to his death. It then cuts back to a few weeks earlier where he has set sail on the Aegean Sea. After some fighting of underworld minions, he fights the Hydra in one of the greatest bosses to an opening level in probably video game history, which does actually get topped in later sequels, but we'll get to that. After defeating the Hydra, he then goes inside of it to retrieve a key that it had eaten earlier in the game, along with a guy who happened to actually still be alive inside, which then leads to me, a little bit of a funny thing where he lets the guy fall to his death inside of the Hydra. He then goes to rescue some people. Unfortunately, he's a little late. Kratos goes to rescue some people. Unfortunately, he's a little late, and they've all been killed. He kills the minions that killed them, and then he starts to look around at all of the death and carnage, which then triggers flashbacks to his life and the violence that he has seen and caused. After which, he then is now calling for Athena to basically... He wants to erase the visions, basically his memories of what he has done, what he's become. He doesn't like himself. Again, Kratos was a character, a very good, deep character before the newer games. So Athena gives him a deal, that if he defeats Ares, kills Ares actually, the gods will forgive his sin. Remember that word, forgives his sin. Apparently, Zeus has forbid the gods from actually waging direct war on each other, so it's more along the lines of proxies, things that they can either manipulate or choose to do their bidding for them. So Kratos, obviously he's going to take it. He takes the deal because he wants to get rid of these visions. After he's arrived at Athens, he meets the Oracle, who then tells him that in order to actually defeat a god, for a mortal man to defeat a god, they need to go and find Pandora's box, which is in the Desert of Lost Souls, in the Temple of Pandora, which is tied to the back of Kronos the Titan. So, Kratos proceeds to get the box after some puzzles that I will get into. Very good puzzles in the game. He gets the box, and Ares, I guess, detects that he gets, or feels that he gets the box, and then he throws a pillar across just everything to then kill Kratos. Kratos dies, remembering more of his life. During his life flashing before his eyes, this is where you see where he becomes the Ghost of Sparta, or not where he gets the name Ghost of Sparta. Because leading up to this point, you're getting flashbacks of his past, what led him to serving, serving the gods for 10 years. He was a general in the Spartan army. Unfortunately, he was about to lose a battle, so then he asks Ares to he sells his soul to Ares for power to be able to beat his enemies, to never lose again, which Ares takes that and now you're going to be my servant. He gives him the Blades of Chaos, and so from that point forward he's serving Ares up until at one point he attacks a village, which inevitably leads to him killing his wife and his daughter. This was a trick by Ares to basically make him... He has no ties to anything, so now all he has to worry about is just the battle, the war, the continued service of Ares to do what Ares wants and to make, for Ares' power to grow, because that's all that mattered. Unfortunately for Ares, this backfires, and now Kratos is determined to kill Ares, or at least does not want to serve him anymore. But because of this event, this is what leads to Kratos now getting the name of the Ghost of Sparta. A resident of the village curses him to now forever have the ashes of his wife and daughter attached to his skin permanently, as just basically to show the world what he has done. And so with the ashes and the mark that he gave himself, that you do find out why he has that red mark in the later game, it gives him, this is where he gets his iconic look from. And so Kratos does die, but he will not stay dead. This is the point where it now leads to him fighting through the underworld in another hilarious interaction with that same guy that he let fall to his death inside of the Hydra's mouth, happening just before the climb out of hell. Just, this game can be funny when it wants to be, which is something that I did like about it. So he then climbs his way out of hell, gets the Pandora's box from Ares, opens it up, which then leads him to grow, and now he fights Ares, defeats Ares, and thinking that he's now done, he's going to lose the visions, or they're going to be erased from his head. He goes to the gods and Athena and tells her, "Hey, I'm done. Go ahead." But she tells him that's not going to happen. Again, as I said, listen to that word. She said that his sins would be forgiven, which they do forgive his sins, but he's not going to be able to lose the memories. Which, this is a very important thing to show that the gods, they're careful with their words so they can get what they want. Another thing that leads to Kratos just not, his relationship with the gods to just be deteriorating more and more throughout the games. So then the game now cuts to the beginning cutscene, but instead of dying, he's lifted up from the ocean, and the gods have now made him the new god of war to replace Ares. And the game does end. This was an interesting thing to me too. The game ends with basically, he is the god of war for all time. I don't know if they thought they would not get another game, or if they were just like, hey, if we're not able to get another game, we think we could, but if we're not able to, we'll just end it right there. But that is how the game ends. And now for the environment / artwork of the game. And just right off the bat, the game aged well enough. There's still some very good looking environments, or not some good looking, like the environments are still very good looking. There's not a lot of environments now. You have that Aegean Sea opening, the city of Athens, a desert, and Pandora's temple. So not a lot of areas that that Kratos is going to, but still just very well done. Some points in the game where you're looking out into big areas, or just big open set pieces, and long walkways to show what the environment looks like, things like that, to just show the grand scale of this world. And I think it's a triumph in that. It's scaled back. What it scales back in how many environments, how many areas you go to. What it does in scaling that back, it makes up for it in just what it looks like and the grand scale of it. You just see this world and you're like, oh, yeah, this is a big world. It keeps you invested in what's going on around you, because it's not just a level here, a level there. It is a continuously moving environment after environment and after environment. And they do look very good. It's one of the best it's one of the best artwork, or it's some of the best artwork that I've seen in these types of games. I'm maybe a little bit biased because of how much I do love this series, but yeah, the way it keeps you looking at certain environments like, wow, they really spent their time and probably a good amount of money to make sure that it looked, in a word, epic. It's safe to say they probably wanted to keep that in people's heads, that wow, this looks great. This looks epic. Probably my favorite, not probably, my favorite area of the game would have to be Pandora's Temple. You could tell that the art team spent most of their time working on what it would look like, because you spend about half the game there, maybe a little over, maybe a little under, not too sure about the percentage that is being spent there, but clearly that is where most of the game is going to, the eyeballs are going to be on. So yeah, it's a good mixture of when you're outside of it, to mountainy areas that you're climbing and things like that, to standard dungeon but still looks very good areas inside the actual temple where you're doing most of the puzzling. And it does also change depending on parts of what part you have beaten and what areas you've beaten inside the temple. It will look different and even lead to more areas. My least favorite would probably be just the city of Athens. It as good as it as nice as it looks, it's kind of just your standard, city setting in that time frame, Greek era. If you've seen, any of these types of sword and sandal style, movies, TV shows like a Spartacus or a 300 or whatever, they're nice. It's nice looking. Athens is nice, but it is a box standard Greek city. No offense, I'm probably gonna get some people who are maybe not happy about me saying that, but I also do I do like it still at the same time. And then shout out to just the Aegean Sea area, the boats with the water going. It's just a nice little set piece to start off the game. Another aspect of environment, artwork, and all that stuff, obviously, is the music. And when it comes to God of War 1, the music, throughout the series, the music is just phenomenal, and God of War 1 is no exception. Some of my favorite music, just in video games in general, I will legitimately listen to this just when I'm maybe even just doing leisurely stuff. Especially once we get to it, that God of War 2 ending theme. Yeah, here's just a little snippet of God of War 1, some music from the first game. Like I said, very good music. And now for the meat and potatoes of God of War 1, the gameplay. As I said, it's a character action game. Hack and slash. If you've played a Devil May Cry, a Bayonetta, or Metal Gear Rising, you know the basic gist of what God of War is. But there's a lot more to it than that. When it comes to God of War specifically, there are, combos and magic abilities, and just the way the weapons that are used in the God of War series, the Blades of Chaos. When it comes to weapons in these types of games, the Blades of Chaos have to be top 10 to top 5 iconic weapons in video games. And for good reason. They give you a lot of range. They can be upgraded, which is a very important aspect of these games, is that you can upgrade your abilities and weapons. Yes, the Blades of Chaos, when it comes to just that hack and slash gameplay, just the range of the weapons, over your typical just sword or, what a lot of other types of games may want to use. The range of these weapons really does make a difference. It's a quote-unquote game changer. And it just... They're very... You cannot say enough about how good the weapons are. Just how they look and how they play. It just... From top to bottom, some of the best weapons in the game. Or in gaming. But the Blades of Chaos are not the only abilities / weapons in the game. Well, there's only one other weapon. Would be the Artemis Blade. This is a more standard, you got to be in a little closer melee weapon. It's a big sword, does heavy damage. This is, if you feel like you want to do damage, it's a little slower. You want to do more damage overall. One of my go-tos if I want to clear enemies a little bit quicker. But, if you want to just play the game, the Blades of Chaos works just fine over the blades, the Artemis Blade. Good weapon, but I would still just say Blades of Chaos outranks it by a mile. So that was one half of God of War's combat. The other half would be its magic abilities. Now there are 4 different abilities that Kratos can get. One pretty late in the game, maybe about 60% of the way. But the others do come along fairly early in the game. At least by the time you're in Athens, leaving Athens, you'll have 3 of them. The first one would be Poseidon's Rage. Poseidon's Rage, right off the bat, that's probably the one that will be used most throughout the game when it comes to Kratos' magical abilities. Has a very good range of attack. It clears area. It's an area clearer. When you are surrounded by enemies, hit the button and not clear them out, but if once it's upgraded, it will kill. It will kill pretty much anything. Second ability, another one you get pretty much right off the bat, not right when you enter, but a little bit after entering the city of Athens, Medusa's Gaze. This one will probably be maybe the least useful. All it will do is freeze an enemy. It's useful in that it can freeze some of the bigger enemies, and then you can kill them right away once they're stone. But you probably won't be using it as much as other ones. The third ability would be Zeus's Fury. Again, you get that fairly early in the game. This one's more of a ranged attack. It's good for clearing out enemies that are going to be a little bit further away, which is basically what it's designed for. Or maybe you just want to do some quick damage to, for combo's sake, or to keep your combo meter up. The last one is the Army of Hades, which is a good replacement for Poseidon's Rage. If you want to clear out an area, the issue with that ability would be, though, is that it does take half your magic every use, so you can only use it twice. Unless you upgrade your magical ability, you pretty much are only going to really use it twice, maybe 3 times if you can upgrade fully. It's very good because once you use it, it will clear the area around you, and then it summons an army of souls that will attack enemies on the periphery of the area. So it is the best ability in what it can do, but it is very costly. The last ability of Kratos is not part of the main 4 magical abilities. It's more of a last opportunity, last chance, whatever you need, get out of jail free card, would be the Spartan Rage, Rage of the Gods ability in some of the games. I'm not remembering exactly. It's pretty sure it was called Spartan Rage in this game. I'll add it in later if I find out otherwise. But it's just your standard clicking the buttons, and now you're invincible, and you can just absolutely kill everything with just no issue at all whatsoever. I barely use this ability, so yeah. And now it's probably going to be my most likely my most controversial opinion of the gameplay of God of War would be the platforming. I do not believe it aged well at all. Everything about the game, most of it does hold up. But when it comes to the platforming, it doesn't feel great. It's a little wonky. The fixed camera can vary on how difficult a certain section can make it vary on how difficult a section could be, to making it just a walk in the park. There are certain sections where you're walking along ledges, or just little logs or whatever it is, and it feels like surfaces are just very slippery and you can fall off very easily. Luckily, you don't just fall off to your death. Kratos will grab the ledge, and then you have to tap the circle button to make him go back up. But again, with the fixed camera angle, there are certain points where you'll be walking, and it's happened to me a few times. You'll be walking or doing the platforming, the camera switches, and now you're moving a different direction, and you will fall off, and it happens quite often. And I mean, if you don't want to take my word for it, here's some gameplay of me basically failing at platforming, specifically the escape from hell section in God of War 1. You can probably say it's a skill issue on my end. I've never been the best at platformers. Still, I do think that this first game, they were seeing what they can do and how to implement certain gameplay features that would become just what the game is, and they do get better as time goes by. But yeah, just the platforming for me, it just did not age well at all. And that's God of War 1. Again, I love this game. I do love this game in pretty much all aspects. This has been one of my favorite series for 20 years. 20 years of just the hack and slash combat, over-the-top violence, until the latest two games maybe, but the over-the-top violence, the just bombastic nature of what these games, at least the first 6, what they were, I can't say enough about how great they've been and how big of a part of my gaming life they have been. That's why it was important for me to, with now me running my own YouTube channel, that this game turning 20 years, the franchise turning 20 years old this year, that I was like, I want to do this, and I wanted to just make something to talk about my love for this game, and as I go along with more videos, talk about my love for the franchise and for each different game, because especially the Greek saga, like, it is, for me, it's nowadays they don't seem to get a lot of love like the Norse saga games get. And so I do want to also have this video out there. It's just like a look at God of War has always been great, and it's probably going to continue to keep being great. I'm very excited for where the future of the franchise goes. But it had a great start, as you could tell by this game and what I've talked about. The foundation for this franchise started out strong, and that is very important. Always. Just very important always. Anyways, that's going to be my video. For anyone that's stuck around to the end for my rambling, again, I don't do scripts for these typically. I do like to go off the top of my head. What I say, I want it to feel more real and not rehearsed. So I just hopefully connect more to whoever decides to watch what I create, what I put out there. But if you stuck around, you enjoy this or anything else I put on the channel, like, subscribe, share, do all that good stuff. It helps this channel grow, and hopefully I can learn to be a better editor for these types of videos as I go along. Maybe I'll want to do a Souls retrospective, or Metal Gear Solid, or Mega Man, or Legend of Zelda. I know I want to do Gears of War. So I just want to know how I could do better in the comments. Go ahead and tell me that. And I just want to know that, yeah, keep doing these. But, yeah, so that's going to do it. Till next time, I'll catch you later.